Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be our monthly ASIC pricing update video. This is going to be for June 2024. And in this segment, what we do is we track these ASIC prices monthly and we are looking for deals, right? So I'm kind of going to go through the more popular ones and look for those deviations, look for those dips in prices, just so we can kind of see where things are going, where things are trending, etc., etc. Okay, so if you guys are looking for ASICs, you're interested, want to find the deals, you're going to want to check this one out. Okay, so if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get to this thing. So we'll get started with just a quick overview of the market, just because again the coin prices do kind of influence the prices of these ASICs, and specifically we focus on BTC just because BTC tends to control the market. If BTC is bullish, so will the rest of the market be, and vice versa. And currently things are still pretty bearish, right? Overall sentiment, you can see the fear and greed's at 44. BTC is currently right under 61. It's kind of just been hovering in this range. And because BTC is slumping, so a lot of the alts, right? A lot of the alts have been getting hit super hard these past few months. They're kind of remaining stagnant with the exception of one of the few, especially in the top 100 that's been holding up, is still kaspa, right? Kaspa is up. There's been a lot of positive news. One was recently with Mara. We had that whole article that came out with them mining it since last year. And then currently KRC20 on kaspa. So it's going to be starting tomorrow. It is still in beta, but the partial mainnet starts tomorrow. So people are excited about some of the meme coin prospects. So that's kind of where some of the hype is. So we'll see what the price action does tomorrow. One of the big meme coins that's been getting traction is stupid Nacho the cat. So this is Shy's cat. This is probably going to be the first one that gets popular. So keep your eyes out tomorrow at 10:30 is when you can start messing around with this thing for any degens who are interested in that, right? So that's part of the reason things have been going up. They've just been getting bullish news, right? But as far as many of the alts, especially my portfolio, that's definitely one of the ones that's been doing extremely well, even when everything else is kind of drowning, right? So overall market sentiment, pretty bearish, right? So now let's go over mine the ASIC, and of course, no surprise, the top ones are still, of course, the kaspa ASICs. Profitability numbers are still within range. They've been kind of consistent the past few months. What has changed though is the fiat, is the actual, not the fiat profitability, the yield. The yield is what's been going down pretty aggressively, and it's just because again the hash rate continues to go up. So currently the KS5 Pros, although they're making 80 bucks a day, it's just because kaspa's been doing well, but the yield is down to 526 kaspa a day. Okay, and it's just been kind of going down and down and down, which is expected, right? It's not like it's shocking, it's not like it's surprising. And it's going to continue to go down, especially these next couple of months. Expected to drastically go down. Like September should be pretty nuts once all these big batches start coming out. And even these next few weeks, we're going to start seeing a downtick, especially because these Ice River units, a lot of people pick those up with those deals lately. So pretty interesting there as we go down the list. One that is incorrect, and it's not going to be correct, is the DR7, which they have it listed as a Blake 2B SIA ASIC, which it is not. It's a Blake 256 R14. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this profitability. And even when it does get corrected, it's probably still going to be wrong, just because the network is going to get completely reset. We'll talk about it a little bit more here in a second. As we go down the list, though, the other major changes, the AL box continues to go down. It's down to $14 a day, guys. And a lot of this is the Alephium price. It's just been tanking, right? All that sell pressure kind of is what it is until we get some bigger ASICs and kick off that entity. And then maybe we can get some price appreciation, but just is what it is there. As we go down, a lot of the more popular ASICs, it's getting pretty crappy out there. Right? And as we go down, some of these are incorrect. So mine the ASIC has kind of been slack in these past few months. I would highly recommend cross-referencing numbers. I mean, in general, it's always good practice to go on here, go on what to mine, like look at different resources just to kind of compare info. So for example, the K7 profitability is completely incorrect. It's much lower than this. So they have it listed as making 754 a day, which is definitely incorrect. And after going through the listing, what it is that they have the price incorrect, right? So kind of going through it, the yield, it's a little bit lower than what it should be, but that's not too far off. The price is what's causing this to be so off, though. They have it at 0.016, when in reality it's at 0.011, right? Which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that's a huge difference. Okay, so in reality, this thing is actually making closer to, this is for the 63.5, it's making about $4 a day in profit, right? This is quite a bit more accurate. So quite a significant difference there. So just make sure you do always cross-reference numbers. There are a few other ones that are wrong. The HS3, for example, has been wrong for quite a long time. They've had it listed here as making $2, making 46 HNS a day, which has been completely wrong pretty much since the inception. It's making about 200 HNS a day, and it's not making $2 a day profit. It's actually losing quite a bit, right? It's actually losing $1.82 a day. So things are not looking good for this guy. That Handshake price has been dipping quite aggressively, again, just like a lot of the other alts. So it's changed things quite a bit, right? And that's kind of the reason also the K7 has been going down, and the KA3 is doing pretty crappy right now too. It is at a loss just because Cadina's price action is in the dumpster. But again, most of the alts, that's what's happening, right? And that's why I know a lot of people were into it a few months ago, and that's all I was recommending, that the hash rate is going to go up, your yield is going to go down. And if prices retrace back to where they were, it could be kind of crappy, and that's kind of what's happening with like the KA3. The K7 luckily is still profitable just because it did run up so extensively, although it has gone down quite a bit. It's still doing okay, right? Versus the KA3, it's down in the dumps, right? And that's just part of what it is, okay? So hopefully you guys kind of understand where my viewpoint was when you guys were kind of asking at that time, right? So doesn't mean it's a bad ASIC. It's just currently right now it's not too profitable. If you're looking right now, would be a good time to be checking like eBay and such, trying to lowball people if you're interested, because right now, because it's at a loss and price action is so low, if it's one you're interested in, you may be able to snag a deal there from like a panic seller, right? So that these are the times to kind of do those things if you're into those, right? As we go down the list, I mean, those have been the main deviations. Of course, BTC ASICs are still kind of struggling, but which is expected. I mean, it's until we have an increase in price action will we see anything different. So this kind of is what it is for there. Again, alts are getting hit hard, right? So that's just the name of the game. The ones that are still consistent, though, are those damn script miners. Those things have been freaking not only tanks, but like durable miners throughout this whole freaking bear market, right? Even the L7s. Still making $8 a day, which is pretty nuts. It's gonna probably start dwindling down if we don't get any price appreciation when these L9s drop, because I'm sure it's probably gonna be a pretty good batch. These AlphaPex units have been, I'm hoping they've been selling well. Seems like they've been doing okay, all right? So let's start getting onto some of these prices. We'll start with the new guy, the DR7. The after coupon price was about $1,500, so shipping would be about $1,800-$1,900. Currently, Nhash has one of the better prices. It's down to about $2,000 ship, but again, high risk miner here. If you're interested in this thing, extremely high risk. Just make sure you understand that. Price wise, it's good price. Miner Bros has it at $22.49 shipped, so good, like 10% savings here. Just again, understand that even when these calculators do update the price, because again, we're trying to get them to update. So I did tweet mine the ASIC. They haven't changed theirs. I did it with ASIC miner value. They changed theirs soonly after. I don't know if they realized it or they just happen to see it. I don't know what it is, but they did finally update it. Hopefully mine the ASIC will update theirs. But even when they do update it, the problem is still going to be that it's not going to be accurate at all once these things actually drop, just because the difficulty is going to go through the freaking roof just because the current hash rate is so low. Okay, so it's, you can see here the current hash rate is at 1.61 petahash, and it's all going to change come August. I believe is when the soft fork's going to happen. It's going to kick off all the Blake 2BC ASICs, and it's only going to be the new guys, right? So it's going to be extremely hard to calculate. Just understand that the daily emissions is fairly low, and it's going to be hard to calculate. I mean, we really have no idea how big this get batch is going to be. It's going to just, I don't want to say devastate things, but it's going to make it extremely squirrely. The advantage is if you were to be one of the first ones who gets in, plug this thing in and freaking solo mine and take over the network for a little bit. But it is we'll see what happens with this project. Another interesting thing I did see in their Discord actually is that this thing is tradable on Solana. So they do have like a Solana integration. You're able to transfer your coins from SCP over to Solana and then sell them through here. There is a lot more volume on Solana than there is on TradeOgre, because through centralized exchanges, it's essentially just TradeOgre. All the volume is definitely on here, right? You can see the 24-hour volume is about 94,000, right? So a very drastic difference from TradeOgre. So this is where everybody's trading at, right? So it does make it easy. You can use Jupiter, any of the aggregators, and just interesting there, right? So we have to wait to see. Once everything comes out, we'll see how many actually come out on the network. We'll see if the emissions actually change. They did say they were going to increase the emissions temporarily. We'll see how it goes. So just fully understand this thing's a lottery play. Could work out super well or may not be too well. One of those wait and see things, right? Let's go down the list. The next one we have is, oddly enough, the other lottery play, and this price has also been tanking, right? And it's because of Handshake's price and that profitability number not looking too hot. So there are two variants of this guy. There's a 8.5 and a 9 terahash. $1,150, so under $1,500 shipped. So current profitability, basing it off of that, held to the no. Lottery aspects, this is where it could be tempting, but just keep in mind this is a 1.5-year-old miner. It's one of those things where you're better off getting it initially. Just kind of depends on your viewpoint, how bullish you are on Handshake. Again, for me, it's a high degen play. There is a lot of potential reward, but also, as we've seen right now with HNS' current price point, it can tank quite a bit, right? So again, for me, it's just 100% a lottery play. But for under $1,500 for an ASIC, what's kind of appealing with this one is the wattage, right? The fact that it's about 2,000 watts, so it's very easy to have on a like 30 amp circuit, right? Even if you have a larger, like a power hungry ASIC on one, you could have like a 3,500 watter and this guy on a 30 amp, right? So that was kind of an appealing thing for me, that just throw it on there. Okay. So that is one deviation, because again, this guy, as we shop around, it is significantly higher everywhere else. It's kind of like a clearance thing. We look on Miner Bros, they have the 2200, which is quite a bit higher, right? So just keep in mind, Miner Bros is on the higher end. I like to use them because out of the popular stores, this is the one people like. Miner Bros and ASIC Marketplace and like CMC. They're all relatively in the same area, so this is just a good comparison so you can kind of see where deals are, right? Next on the list is one that is high on my radar, but things did kind of change, okay? So interesting thing here. So it did get announced. We saw the whole thing. Most of the stores have it between 11,000, 12,500. The game changer though was, and this is what during the time was at WDMS, they did announce this here. So as months go on, they're going to have future batches every month and the price is going to get reduced. Okay. Starting with November. So starting with that November batch. So November, December, January, each month gets cheaper and cheaper to the point where the January batch goes down to like $6,500. Okay. So half the price. So this weird strategy, don't know why they would go so aggressively that far in the future, but to me that was a major turnoff for attempting to buy this thing now because of that. Okay, so now again they kind of put a target on themselves, so it's like, are they going to start like a little price war with freaking alpha packs? Like, what's going to happen there? Because one of the few stores, they're starting to list those future batches now. Some are only going to like November, December. But like, for example, Cool Dragon had it all the way to the freaking January batch. And they have it at $7,000. Now, would I want to pre-order a freaking ASIC 7 months ahead of time from the store? Hell to the no. Is it tempting? Sure. Would I though? Realistically, absolutely not. Right? Ton of risk doing it. A lot of things can happen, like maybe if the tariffs from Bitmain weren't so aggressive, I would consider going from there because I would have more faith in them actually shipping it on time. But the problem here It's a long time, bros. It is a long, long time, and you have to factor in the amount of rewards you would have accrued by then anyway. Okay, so it's like you have to factor, like, yes, every month it gets about $1,000 cheaper, but if you're estimating that your revenue is going to be about $1,000 a month, are you really saving money, or is it money you would have earned during that time anyway? Right? So it's kind of depends on your strategy, depends on your outlook, but the fact, for me at least, that they're doing it like this far ahead of time kind of made it seem like it's very likely that like AlphaPex is probably going to play the little game like Ice River did, right? Like if I were AlphaPex, I would start reducing these things ahead of that schedule to make these guys more appealing during that time. Okay, so they do have these allocations available from certain vendors, but keep in mind that that doesn't mean, oh, okay, I'll just wait till January and I'll finally order in January. What do you think is going to happen by January? What do you think is going to probably happen like September, October? Prices, if they start skyrocketing once the prices of the tokens and coins start going up, the prices of these guys are going to start going up. Okay, the advantage here is that you'd be able to theoretically lock in that price currently. Okay, but just understand there's a lot of risk, because let's say you do order from a vendor. Again, these are things that have happened previous cycles, so just keep this in mind. Not accusing any store of doing this, but just understand that it's happened. There's no way to prove in many cases that they're doing it, but one common thing that did happen with a lot of stores, a lot of vendors, doing pre-orders like this is what happens. Okay, let's say the price of Doge has now tripled come January, and the price of the ASIC has also tripled, right? So instead of selling it for $6,500 to you, they're going to sell it to Joe Schmo at $18K and kind of have you on the back burner. They're going to prioritize the bigger money sales and have you on the back burner, and they're going to be randomly out of stock, or they were over allocated, or they had issues, or different things can arise, right? So it's a lot of risk doing it that far ahead of time. A couple of months, I get it, but like 7 months ahead of time, there's just a ton of factors that can go completely in the wrong direction, right? So maybe a September batch, it's hard to really go any farther ahead of that, just because, again, a lot of variables. But once we start upticking, just keep in mind these prices will start going up. So for me, just because of this was definitely a big turnoff for me. Just because, again, I can definitely see AlphaPex playing the game and like being more aggressive with the price, and then potentially Bitmain lowering the prices a little sooner, which then at that point that would make it more appealing. Okay. So currently, like, the only batch I'd be interested in is if I can get in one of the first batches of this guy. If I can get it close to that after coupon price, like the closer to 10K, the better. Will it go that low? Maybe, maybe not. But at that point, that would be more appealing, because let's say you do the November batch and it does come out a bit lower. The problem here is you have to factor in how much yield you would have made up to that point if you would have just gotten the August batch. Okay, so you have to think in terms of revenue, how much revenue would have generated versus just waiting all the way till November. Like, was it really worth that risk? Did it really pan out? Because what if you wait till the November batch and it gets delayed? Like, there's a lot of factors, guys. So just take that into consideration. It is appealing though, right? But I just have a funny feeling that AlphaPex might play the little game more with them, right? So we have yet to see what happens. I'm still kind of decided on which route I'm going, but just keep that in mind, right? We'll see what AlphaPex does, if anything at all. Maybe they're selling well at this price point. I don't know, but in my opinion, most likely this price does have to come down, right? Especially come August, because again, guys, we're at the end of June. A few days we're going to be in July, which at that point puts it a month away, right? So factor that in. Okay, and another news thing with Script ASICs from Mining Disrupt, Local Tech, earliest now, maybe end of year, but I think they were saying Q1 25. Okay, so I wouldn't plan on that thing. It's probably going to happen eventually, hopefully, but again, if you're interested in Script ASICs, I would look at that more as if it does happen, it would be a way to just increase your efficiency. Again, the bulk of your hash, it's a better deal with these guys, right? And then at that point, if it does happen, does come to fruition, and be a good way to increase your efficiency by adding on those guys, right? But at this point, it's like delay after delay. They didn't have a prototype at Mining Disrupt, which was extremely disappointing, but it is what it is, right? So just keep that in mind also for any of you guys interested in script ASICs. Let's go down the list. So that's 21 Pro. It's at $43.79, so about $4,600 shipped. Kind of not a bad price. Gonna be curious to see if it goes any lower, just because currently the S21 is about, for the 200 terahash model, is about $36.79. For this small of a price difference, the 21 Pro does seem to be a pretty major upgrade. Okay, so we're gonna have to wait to see, because obviously we see the S21 XP. We do have shipping dates of October for that guy now. A lot of the stores and vendors are listing October as the initial first batch release, and that guy is more of a premium. That one's closer to like the $6,000-$7,000 range. We're gonna have to wait and see where prices kind of go from there. But in terms of like these two guys, like this guy is definitely more appealing than the S21 currently. At least for the 200 terahash model, you can get this one for $300, but I would get the 200 terahash model though. But out of the two for $700, this one is a lot newer, does seem to potentially run cooler, does have these bigger fans. It is more of a truer upgrade over it, right? So, and again, for $700, this is probably the way to go. Currently, the first batches are in hand. I am starting to see reviews and such of them, so pretty interesting there for you BTC ASIC fans. Let's keep going down the list though. So Bombacks, in case you didn't catch that little update, they did increase their price just because they increased the power on this thing. So it's up to 3,800 mega hash. Although some of the stores are listing a 3,600 and 3,800. Not a fan of this increase, right? Brings it up closer to 5K. Realistically, under 4K would be much more appealing. $39.99, especially for an unknown manufacturer. Kind of disappointing there. One benefit though of this guy is Jazzminer finally freaking had a price change. We did recently see they released that budget X16Q that had lower RAM, and that one was under 2K. They finally did actually see a price drop on the regular X16Q. They have in stock models at 2,800, so about 3K shipped. The better deal is this July batch pre-order though at 2,419, right? So about 2,600-2,700 bucks shipped. Which finally is 10%. Not the greatest, biggest deal in the world, but considering how it's been pretty flat this whole time, this is a good sign, right? Because obviously they are starting to feel something from Bombacks. Maybe they continue to cut, right? The closer to 2,200, maybe even the other budget model going below, going down to like 1,700-1,500. Starting to get pretty appealing, right? It's hard just because, again, the Bombacks miner is there. The efficiency is excellent, especially on that low power mode. And then just knowing that we have the X44 sometime in the next 6 months, potentially, right? It's just harder to purchase. But the closer to that 2K price range, the more appealing it gets, right? So pretty interesting there. Last on the list. Know a lot of you guys like this thing. This is getting closer to a fair market price. Okay, so this guy's down to $12.49, so much closer. It comes in range now just because, again, the KS0 Pro is the reason, right? $249 for these guys, $1,000. But just keep in mind, you're going to be paying shipping for 4 units. Even if the shipping is fairly cheap at $50-$60, that's $250 you're spending on that, right? So in kind of a way, that would make up for this guy. So you are still definitely paying a premium for this. It's also less efficient, right? For these guys, it would only be 400 watts versus the 600 watts for this guy. But you get the benefit of it being denser. You get the benefit of it being one single unit running on 6 pins versus a stupid little barrel jacks. So it just depends, right? Realistically, I think the better bet is still the KS0 Ultra. It's more efficient. Chances are they will eventually crack this thing, be overclockable, and at that point, it's potential that only like 3 of them could potentially get you that 1.6, right? So factor that in, but I know some of you guys are ride or die gold shell guys for whatever reason, so that is there. But those are the main deviations, guys. We're going to have to see where the price points are. The other big ones were obviously the kaspa ASICs, the big boys, but I have covered those extensively in their own dedicated videos. That's why we haven't really covered them. Prices are kind of about the same. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if they start going up a couple $100. especially on like the Bitmain unit, because we are getting closer to that August date, right? So keep those things in mind there. And that's pretty much it for the month. We're going to see kind of where things go. If things kind of stay bearish, it's potential we find a few more deals, right? I'm kind of curious as to see what happens next month, especially the second half, if we get another discount on those ice rivers, those Bitmain ice river units. But right now it's not looking too great in that department, just because, again, kaspa is at freaking 18 cents. It is starting to get a little bit more traction. So we know when that price goes up, the prices of the units may also go up. And I think the key thing is whether, even if they don't get an increase, even if the following batch is the same price, that's where it's going to get swirly. Because again, once we get into that bull market mode, that's where it's going to get tricky. Okay, so again, our time for these deals is dwindling. Hopefully though, I know it sounds bearish, hopefully prices continue where they're at or go lower, right? Hope we do see a 55 or under KBTC. Okay, just because, again, better deals. These are the last few months, potentially, we're going to have these good deals. And then we'll see what happens. We'll see if other things get announced, get released, right? It was a little bit disappointing with these past two conferences. We didn't get any, not even rumors of an Lithium ASIC other than the existing gold shell unit, right? So it's kind of what I was hoping for. Realistically, these may be some of the lows for some of these ASICs. And we'll potentially see maybe as soon as this fall we start getting some replacements for some of these. So I know some of these prices are going low to the point where it's appealing. But keep in mind that typical life cycle of about 1.5 years. It's anywhere from 1.5 years to 3 years. Although, oh man, recently it feels like it's been 6 months, right? We saw the S21, the KS5, like it's getting crazy, bro. So just factor those things in, guys. Look at all the different things. Take everything into account. Look at hash rate, difficulty, potential price appreciation. Factor all those things in, guys. Make sure you do heavy research. These things are expensive. They can become bricks really quick, just like that KD light back there. So just factor all those things in, guys, before you go FOMOing in, because I know people have been talking about it more just because the other forms of mining haven't been too hot. So like GPU mining, CPU mining, etc. Just keep these factors in mind though, guys. I know we talk about them a lot, but we also got to talk about those risks a lot, right? So I do like to mention that quite frequently, that although yes, my mindset is with the ASICs, got to fully understand those risks, right? So let me know what you guys are doing, guys. Have you guys purchased any? I know quite a few of you guys did get out on those ice rivers. Chances are I'll be joining you here. I'm going to probably buy something here within the next few days. We shall see, right? So let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys are doing. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching, and we are out.